Okay, start.
Okay, so our team, Sarai, Sara, Steffi, and Dalila, we were in charge of the shape versus adapt strategy. And this is kind of self-explanatory to some extent. When we talk about shaping, we talk about giving some mold to something, shaping it our own way, giving some certain form. And when talking about adapt, we're talking about creating a model or following someone that is leading in some industry or that you want to make it the way they are doing it. So that is the shape versus adapt strategy. And it's divided, well, in each of them we have 4 or 5 categories that fit in each of the shape versus adapt strategy. And for the shape part, we have the creating an industry standard. That means that you're in your industry, you're trying to make something new, you want people to follow you, to follow what you're doing, and to model that industry to some extent that you are the leader and that you're shaping the industry to what you're doing. Then we have the introducing a product, a service, or business system innovation. That means coming up with a totally new product, a new business model, or really having something that nobody has in the industry. Then restructuring the industry, that is kindly what it really explains itself, that is restructuring, and replicating the existing business system in new markets. For example, in this case, we can take as an example franchises. What they do is they have some model working in some country, for example, the US, then they try to replicate that model and then come to Mexico and follow the same model. So that is what in this case is done. And then influencing competitors' conduct. That means that trying to model up what your competitors are doing or to some extent affect what they might do in the future so that they are following you or that they stop doing something that could affect you. And then in the adapt side, we have following a potential shaper's lead. That means maybe you're not the leader in the industry, but you know what the company is doing. So what you try to do is follow their strategy or adapt to it so that you get their standards or you get their leadership in that extent. Then hedging against future possible outcomes, that means protecting yourself, as hedging is in the financial services area. That means protecting to any further changes that may happen or any something unexpected that can appear in the industry, so you're protecting yourself against that. Then proven through continuous experimentation. That means experimenting maybe with new products, experimenting with new ideas, and that's about trying something new, but still keep on practicing until you get the correct model, the correct product. And final, building a flexible organization. That is, I mean, maybe it could be one of the hardest, but building a flexible organization is that you can have an industry that adapts to changes and that to some extent it will allow you to, any future change in the industry, you will be prepared for it. I have a quick question for you. Which of these, well, you know this, both these companies, Apple and Amazon, and I wanted to ask you, what do you think either Apple or Amazon have adopted any of these strategies, either shape or adapt? Can someone give me an answer?
Shape is
Apple.
Shape?
Shape is Apple.
What do you understand by shape?
like the leader of the market or the one who wants the hierarchy and this wants to get that position in the marketing segment.
He influences
Industry, technology.
the conduct of the other competitors.
Exactly. The key of the shaping strategy is that you can have an influence in the other competitors of the market.
You are the leader.
If you cannot influence or even like make them do something that you want, then you are not making a shaping strategy.
So maybe for your amusement, of some of you know, actually these companies both are using shape and adapt strategies. So for example, if you talk about Apple in the music sector, you maybe can talk about shape in how they do in MP3 and selling it online. And adapt will in certain industries like ebooks. Amazon was the one who shaped the ebook area or the ebook industry, and Amazon adapt to it.
Yes,
so
it is.
Sorry.
It is very important to say that shape, how we put shape versus adapt, in reality, you as a company, you cannot say I use one or another and that's it. We will see later on with some examples that depending on your company, you can choose whether you want to be a shaper or an adapter, or depending on the stage your company is, if it's a new company, if it's an old company, which strategy is better for you. But don't think of this like I cannot use both. You cannot use both at the same time. but you eventually, in a different period of time, the same company can be a shaper and then an adapter. Okay?
And in this case, it's really hard because we're talking about uncertainty, and you get to the point, what am I doing? You have to take into account your resources, your capabilities, and that will lead you to take one way or the other. Or maybe you can decide for shape, but then decide to adapt something. It's up to the company, but then what I mean is that they both work, and there's no one better than the other.
Okay, now I'm gonna try to be a little quickly because time is running. So, in the level 1, we have the adapting strategy is the stronger. I mean, this is the most important choice in the level 1. Because we have the single view of the future, so we have most expected future in the market. So the strategy has been designed to leverage and build such structural advantage as economic of scale and brands. And here, like for example, you don't gonna risk to disrupt the whole industry. You have to try to keep one step ahead to your competition. So you're gonna try to make some change, and you're gonna adapt some things that the leaders and the shapers are doing. In some cases, shape fits in this level, but they seek to create chaos out of the order, and this strategy is not very common in this level.
So level 1, the most common strategy is the adapting strategy. Did you get that? Did you get that in level 1? Yes?
Yeah, and it is because you have a lower risk.
Yes,
You don't have to...
Because everything is now, if it's in level 1, everything is concrete. You understand how is the market and everything. So you cannot shape because it is already given. So the best strategy is to adapt and
and the shaper ones are because are levels and the one.
Okay, let's continue.
On level 2 uncertainty, as we know, level 2 means that there are like some few possible options that may become the outcome of the market. So what a shaper does on level 2 is like try to get the company or the probability that the most favorable outcome for the company is going to happen. So maybe you try, like, if you have options A, B, and C, if you are a shaper, you try to guide the market so that the option that goes is C. And if you are pursuing and adapting a strategy, this means that you have to be ready to grow your company and to have to be successful regardless of the outcome that happens. That means that your company has to have flexibility, that you can easily adapt to the things that are happening on the market. And this is relatively easy to manage, as there are signals of which scenarios are becoming the more or less likely to happen.
In level 3 of uncertainty, it is almost the same as in 2, but of course you have more uncertainty. So for example, in level 2, the strategy for being a shaper says the only possibility you have is not to step in front and say, okay, I am the new leader of the market, but to try to guide all the possibilities to make the market move in the trend in which you are stronger. And that thing you are trying to do in level 3. You have a big range of uncertainty, so the best thing you can do is, I cannot guess what the future is, but I will put all of my resources to try to shape the market to go to where I am going to be. So that is the thing that you can do. And if you go for the adapt strategies, they focus on, this is my company, I don't know what the future is gonna be, but what I am going to develop is a company that is prepared to respond to any of the possibilities. So for example, if there is possibility A, B, and C, all of my workers, all of my leaders in my company know how to act in scenario A, B, C, and D. So these companies have great leaders that know that when there is a signal or where is the market going, they know how to react. So here also level 2 is flexibility, but being in charge of the strategy to take.
Okay, so then we have number 4, which you all know is total uncertainty. And here, the more uncertainty in the environment, the greater chances are that anyone who steps forward, people will follow, or other companies will follow. And this actually gives shaping like a higher level of return and a lower level of risk in level 4. And also because if you're willing to invest in a new industry standard and creates a touchstone for other companies to react to, this will bring order into chaos. And adapting is not really something that level 4 uncertainty companies strive for, because it's so they can never anticipate what will happen in the future. So what they focus on is the same as level 3. They focus on strategy as an organization, as like they want to trying to have the right people and processes and to be prepared for anything.
So there are other factors that affect which strategy you select, which are external environment, internal capabilities, and the company aspiration. I'm going to go fast on this, but if you have doubts and questions, you can ask it at the end. And you have to ask about the external environment. If there is a change expected to be continuous, then you should better adapt. Or if it is continuous, then it's a better strategy to shape. You have to check if there are opportunities for first movers. This means that if you take the bet and be the first on the market, then try to shape. Is there going to be an advantage for you or not? Because if there is going to be, then it's worth shaping. And if not, then you should not worry about shaping. And also the same with the range of the future possible outcomes, which was what Steffi and Sarah explained on level 2 and 4 uncertainty. And the availability of information, because if you are going to adapt, you have to copy the same strategies that other companies are doing. So if you don't have the information, it's going to be very difficult to adapt to the market. About the internal capabilities, there must be a fit between an external opportunities and the company capabilities. This means that maybe the market has a lot of opportunities, but if you, for example, are a very small company and you don't have the power to make that everyone, or to influence the actions of the rest of the company, of the rest of the competitors, then you shouldn't pursue an shaping strategy. You have to be able to demonstrate credibility. Okay, this is a checklist that is about what the things that we have mentioned previously, so maybe you can read it later.
Thank you.
These are examples of a shaping company.
Yeah.
IKEA.
Yeah, so since I'm Swedish, I thought of what I think is shaping, and that's IKEA. By making, they design, produce, and make, sell ready-to-assemble furniture, and they're the biggest furniture blah 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 company in the world, and since 1943.
So they shaped the market because it was something that didn't exist, and they introduce it, and they make the customers become used to what they proposed. So that it was something new, and they shaped the new market in these ideas. And this is an example for adapting OXXO and 7-Eleven. For example, we can see that the supermarket existed in the big range, and OXXO and 7-Eleven are like a little supermarket and convenience. So they adapted the big idea of buying, and they innovated in the way of convenience. So it is a way of adapting in the market.
And actually also was an adaptation of the 7-Eleven case, because 7-Eleven was first, and also see that the business model works, so you try to copy it.
Devon now also ate.
Yes, he was more successful.
Yeah, and then we tried to come up with something that was both shaping and adapting, and we found Alibaba. I don't know if any one of you knows what it is. Yeah, it's business to business, connecting sellers and buyers in China, and they're kind of replicating like Amazon and eBay and these companies, but in the same way in the Chinese market they're the biggest ones, and they came up when there was no one else, and also they're the biggest one in small to medium-sized enterprises, the biggest in the world. So that then in that kind of way they're kind of shaping. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Very good.